Hi everyone, this is Sam with the Wine News in 5. I'm on the road in Paso Robles this week, so I apologize if the sound is a bit dodgy. I don't really have a good place to record. A quick reminder that voting for the Old Vine Hero Awards is open until March 26th. These awards recognize people who are doing everything they can to keep old vines in the ground. If you haven't already done so, voting only takes a moment. Yesterday, on jancesrobinson.com, on our YouTube channel, we continued our re-release of Vintner's Tales. This week's episode was recorded in 1998 and features Claude Duard, who at the time was the sommelier overseeing the 1.6 million pound cellar at the restaurant Margot Pierre White. In the interview with Jancis, he claims to have an innate ability to identify which guests will spend money on wine and to be able to steer those guests towards certain bottles. I find this interview very amusing. I highly recommend you go watch it. On to the news. Today, I'll update you on Trump's tariff war, declining demand for New Zealand wine, Jumilla's smallest and earliest harvest on record, the winner of the André Drink Book Award, and a new education opportunity for UK-based women and non-binary people. First up, Trump's tariff war. To briefly recap the main news for the last 8 weeks. On March 4th, the Trump administration put blanket 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Canada immediately reacted by levying their own tariffs and pulling all U.S. alcohol from Canadian shelves. On March 6th, the Trump administration paused until April 2nd the 25% blanket tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada that were compliant with the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. Meanwhile, Canada launched a $5 billion Canadian dollar program to help exporters reach new markets. I expect we'll know more on April 2nd on whether or not the U.S. will regain its largest wine export market. On March 12th, the Trump administration enacted a 25% blanket tariff on aluminum and steel. The EU responded with counter tariffs on $28 billion worth of U.S. goods, including a 50% tariff on U.S. whiskey scheduled to roll out on April 1st. The Trump administration responded with the threat of a 200% tariff on EU alcohol. Yesterday, March 20th, the EU delayed all new tariffs on U.S. goods until April 13th, pending negotiations with the Trump administration. I hold out hope that both the 50% tariffs on U.S. whiskey and the 200% tariffs on EU alcohol will be dropped, but in the meantime, a lot of damage has already been done. On March 18th, the U.S. Wine Trade Alliance recommended that U.S. WTA members halt EU wine shipments for fear that the 200% tariffs could take effect as soon as April 2nd. Many importers are canceling orders and waiting to see what will happen. According to Statista, the U.S. consumes 33 million hectoliters of wine per year. 1/3 of that volume is imports. According to French publication Vitisphere, 71% of imports are packaged products as opposed to bulk wine. 82.5% of U.S. bottled wine imports by value come from the EU. There are many U.S. wine importers and distributors who will close almost immediately if these tariffs go into effect. Meanwhile, the EU will lose their largest export market. EU producers are beginning to look to other markets, and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is actively pursuing new trade partnerships. Von der Leyen and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi have said that they're going to set up a free trade agreement by the end of 2025. India currently places tariffs of 150% on wine, and if this is eliminated, India could become a major market for European wine. On to declining demand for New Zealand wine. According to the publication Wine Titles, New Zealand's wine exports experienced a 12.2% decline in value and 12.5% decline in volume between June 2023 and June 2024. The New Zealand Herald reports that the decline, coupled with a heavy 2025 crop, has led many wine producers in Marlborough to place a cap on the yield they're willing to accept from growers. This is resulting in unharvested fruit. The general manager of Wine Marlborough, Marcus Pickens, has said that he hopes that this will help balance supply and demand. As the U.S. is New Zealand's largest export market and one of the few export markets to grow in volume in the last year, there are additional concerns over tariffs, and that's led some exporters to begin stockpiling wine in U.S. warehouses. On to Jumilla's smallest and earliest harvest on record. The Spanish appellation of Jumilla, south of Valencia, experienced its third consecutive year of drought in 2024. Vineyards in this area are dry farmed, and local authorities did not agree to the provision of emergency irrigation. Without water, vineyards obviously struggled. According to the Jumilla Wine Council, the 2024 harvest is the smallest vintage in the appellation's history. Production was down 40% on average and was 14% lower than in 2023. With harvest beginning in late July, the vintage was also the earliest on record. Despite this, the trade body claims that consumers can expect good quality and alcohol levels that are in line with previous vintages. Next, the 2025 André Simon Book Award winners announced. Each year, the André Simon Food and Drink Awards celebrates the best new food and drinks books. This year's Drink Book Award went to Andrew Caillard, MW's The Australian Ark, which is a set of 3 massive tombs that I don't yet possess, but I've been itching to buy since Tam's glowing review of them earlier this year. Huge congratulations to Caillard, and a second congratulations to Adam Wells, whose Perry, A Drinker's Guide, received a special commendation. Finally, a new education opportunity for UK-based women and non-binary people. Earlier this week, Quina Wong, who is the founder of Curious Vines, which is a UK-based organization that's focused on advocating for women in the wine industry, announced the Razan Segla Curious Vines Bordeaux Education Award. Applications for this award are open until April 4th, and you can find the link to apply in the transcript of this newscast. 5 winners will be chosen and taken on an intensive 2-day tour of Bordeaux. They will also have the opportunity to attend Bordeaux Index's 10 Years On tasting in London and take the Bordeaux Master's Certification course. That's all for this episode of Wine News. If you enjoy this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please subscribe to jancesrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email me at news@jancesrobinson.com. All right, thanks.